Great. Well, thank you very much for joining us this evening, everyone. I'm not sure if everyone has been here before. You're all very welcome, whether you're here for the first time or the umpteenth time. And all you need to do is just sit back and hopefully enjoy and maybe feel a little enriched by spending this time together with us. So our theme is beautiful resistance, living hopefully in the midst of despair, of which I'll say more in a moment. But first, take a look at this.
Back in the day, you know, we were marching with Dr. King. And, you know, us youngsters, some of us would take off by ourselves. And we would just march all day and sing. After a while, somebody would say, let's get something to eat. So we would stop, we'd go in this restaurant, and we sit down. We saw the waitress when she went in the back, and then she wouldn't come back out. Took her a long time to come out, but we sit there. When she came out, she said, y'all get out of here. I'm gonna call the police. We just sit there. And when we heard the police coming, we heard the sirens and all, we joined together, made our chain, locked arms, and we began to sing this song. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. We shall not be just like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be moved. We're fighting for our children. We shall not be moved. We're fighting for our children. We shall not be like a tree that's planted by the water. Oh yeah. We shall not be moved. Oh yeah. We shall not be moved. Oh, we shall not be moved. Oh, like a tree planted by the water. We shall not be moved. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You got to love it. That's the incredible Mavis Staples, who comes from a big family of singers. All her siblings and her parents were very involved with the social justice movement with Martin Luther King. And I think we all want to know what happened next, don't we, in that story? But anyway, I think we got the message that they weren't going to be moved. Beautiful resistance is such, I think, a lovely turn of phrase. And it's been adopted by a number of different groups of people. There's a book with that name by a rather zealous evangelical that I don't particularly recommend. But there's a movement of Black artists and journalists in the States who are reclaiming the truth as they see it of Black experience and resisting being defined by other people, resisting being defined by the suffering and brutalization that they and their people have experienced. Beautiful resistance. You can go to their website, actually, it's the Boston Globe website, you can find a lot of YouTube films there of different people saying what beautiful resistance means to them. And it's about living joyfully and living defiantly, about telling your own story instead of, as I say, letting other people tell it for you. We actually, Pat and I, first came across the notion of beautiful resistance among Palestinians on the West Bank in Palestine, Israel. People who choose to resist the oppressive policies of the Israeli government in a non-violent and beautiful way. And we encountered that in 10 days of traveling and meeting lots of different Palestinian people and groups of people, that again and again and again, we came across this notion of beautiful resistance, of non-violent resistance. And we saw it, as I say, firsthand, visited a farm near Bethlehem, which is constantly targeted by armed settlers. And not long before we visited them, armed settlers had come and just bulldozed an entire grove of ancient olive trees on the farm. And the farmer there is doing everything to resist efforts to have their land taken away from them, taken over. And he's doing that through the courts and so on. But meanwhile, there's a sign at the gate of the farm which says, "We refuse to be enemies. We refuse to be enemies." And many young Palestinian protesters in recent days have taken to smiling when they're being arrested, or when they're being brutalized, or arrested when they're out on peaceful protests. And this is a recent example of that, which and a story which I found very moving and inspiring.
It just made me laugh, like, why are you doing this? Are you this weak? So I wasn't really afraid, because like the way he treated me, the way he kicked me, the way he dragged me, it just shows he's not okay here.
Do you want your kids to grow up and to grow all defending their own side?
He hit me and he dragged me all around. My body now is full with bruises. Smiled in a way that I'm good, I'm okay. I was not afraid because I believed that I am right. I saw a girl that was beaten up and that was like laying on ground. She was helpless. I think what I did was natural, is that to go and try to help her move up. One soldier started trying to push me away and told me, like, in Hebrew, move from here. I didn't listen. I kept trying to reach this girl, and this is how it happened.
What did I do? Just defending a girl who was being beaten? that's why I'm arrested now.
I have hope that our protesting and our voice will be heard, and that the Sheikh Jarrah houses will not be and the families will not be dispelled from their houses. I think this is the way we find strength, when we are together protesting for each other, because what would happen in Sheikh Jarrah, it will happen to the rest of Jerusalem, because they wouldn't say, okay, it's only Sheikh Jarrah. No, it started in 1948 and they didn't stop. If we don't stand for each other, then who would stand for us?
So I don't know how many of you have visited Bethlehem, visited the West Bank. These are a few photographs that I took of the wall, which is just the most astonishing thing to stand in front of, really. 8 meters of solid concrete with, for some crazy reason, barbed wire on top of that as well, as if you're going to climb up 8 meters of concrete wall. But it's interesting how on the outside of the wall, it's just plain concrete, but the inside has just become this amazing sort of art exhibition, really. And people from all over the world who visit do graffitis there. Banksy, the graffiti artist, has got a huge investment in the Palestinian people and in Bethlehem in particular. He opened up a hotel there, which is called the Walled Off Hotel, and it's got the strap line that it's the hotel with the worst view in the world, because all it looks on is this wall. And so there are quite a lot of his graffiti images around. One of the 2 angels prizing open the 2 blocks of concrete is a Banksy. But so many things. I don't know if you can read what Donald Trump is saying there. He's saying, I'm going to build you a brother. Well, he kind of got so far with it anyway. But seeing George Floyd there is a reminder that, across the wall there are so many kind of images of other injustices. And it's like there's this kind of sense of unity. And as I say, what we encountered all the time was this notion of beautiful resistance, whether that is, putting lovely messages up like some of these, or smiling in the face of violence, or just refusing to become an enemy. This particular block of wall has got a line of people in front. This is actually where people have to line up every day, those people who have work in East Jerusalem and have to go out and come back in. And they were telling us, we talked to people there who said they queued for 3 to 4 hours each day, both to get out and to come back in through the checkpoints. So there's kind of, little coffee vendors and food vendors along there, giving them, offering them breakfast or whatever. And I think this great concrete wall stands as an emblem, not just about what's going on there in the Middle East, but an emblem of so much inhumanity in the world. And it's just so poignant, I think, that among the things that people have scrawled there, there's that statement, Jesus wept. One of Palestine's great poets and humanitarians is a man called Mahmoud Darwish, who died quite a few years back now, but left a massive legacy of poetry round. And he's someone who pondered a common humanity between Israeli people and Palestinian people in this poem, which is called He is Quiet and So Am I. He is quiet and so am I. He sips tea with lemon while I drink coffee. That's the difference between us. Like me, he wears a wide striped shirt, and like him, I read the evening paper. He doesn't see my secret glance. I don't see his secret glance. He's quiet, and so am I. He asks the waiter something. I ask the waiter something. A black cat walks between us. I feel the midnight of its fur, and he feels the midnight of its fur. I don't say to him, the sky today is clear and blue. He doesn't say to me, the sky today is clear. He's watched, and the one watching, and I'm watched, and the one watching. I move my left foot. He moves his right foot. I hum the melody of a song, and he hums the melody of a similar song. I wonder, is he the mirror in which I see myself and turn to look in his eyes, but I don't see him. I hurry from the cafe. I think maybe he's a killer, or maybe he's a passerby who thinks I'm a killer. He's afraid, and so am I. There's this incredible Israeli-Canadian singer called Yael Deckelbaum, who has drawn together women from both sides of the Israeli-Palestine divide, but also from around the world to express beautiful resistance through music. And a few years ago, she organized a great March of Mothers. You can find a YouTube film of it. I might post it up, actually. It's an amazing story of all these mothers and women, and also many men too, who joined in to walk right down from the north of Palestine down into the south. And she joined together with a Palestinian singer called Mira El-Abouni in a powerful song called Hayati, which means my life. And yeah, I mean, I love all the music that she does, but this is an extraordinary video as well.
Over the fence, over the wall, beyond the fences, standing tall, there is a place where we can meet. Over the tunnels, close to the sun, far from the barrel of a gun, there is a place for you and me. Though many people say this can never be done,
بدي حرية بدك حياة بدنا نعيش زي نجوم السما ما هم زي بعض بس بيلمعوا سوا. You say shalom,
you say salam, you say mahabba,
in English it's love.
you say tomato,
I say tomato, oh.
Many people say this can never be done. Still here we are together, singing this song under the sun. Into the light,
Walk with me
into the light where we can be free. Into the light, there's a place where we can be as one. Into the light,
it's time to see.
into
Well, flip me, if that isn't beautiful resistance, then I don't know what it is. And you may be interested to know that Yale is going to be singing at Greenbelt this coming year, which is going to be the 50th anniversary of the Greenbelt Festival. And I reckon it's worth going to hear her alone. But as I say, throughout our time on the West Bank, we saw many manifestations of beautiful resistance. And we went into the Aida refugee camp, which is funny, really, because it's a kind of walled off place within a walled off city. And this was created back in 1948 when people in Hebron and Jerusalem were sort of driven from their homes. And so it's a refugee camp, not in the sense, you know, of tents and all that. It's really a ghetto that is vastly overcrowded. And we visited the camp and were invited to go and cook a meal with a family, where actually it was the rather wonderful woman host of the home who did the cooking, and we kind of, I think I fried a few onions and Pat might have done something, but a couple of others of us. But it was an amazing experience. And we also visited a place called the Al Rawad Center for Culture and Arts, which is something that's connected with the Amos Trust, if you know the Amos Trust in this country, and supported by lots of people around the world, to create in this rather dark and dingy ghetto a place where children and young people can learn beautiful resistance through the arts and culture and so on. And this is a little bit about that place.
Our Rawad vision is to create a Palestinian community free of violence, respectful of human values and rights. It's a way to use theater, arts, photography, video as a way to build these possibilities for young people to express themselves. The challenges are to live as normal in an abnormal situation, but to realize that this is not normal life. It's not normal to have this illegal wall of expansion and annexation around us. It's not normal to have Israeli checkpoints suffocating our communities and so on. Culture is not a priority in any funding, so part of the challenges are the funding for culture and arts. Part of the challenges is to see the potential of everybody as a change maker and not just wait for miracles to happen, but need to provoke miracles to happen. We share the same values: justice, freedom, peace, equality, love. This is the essence of our humanity. Whether we are Muslim or Christian or Jewish or Buddhist or Hindu or atheist or whatever we are, we share these same values, and these values are the essence of our humanity, not elastic, not changing based on who says what, but a value that we share as human beings. You can see a lot of films, you can hear a lot of people talking about Palestine, you can read a lot of books, but when you come here, it's another dimension for this experience on a human level. It's an eye-opening experience. Amos Trust has been very successful in bringing people do work on the ground and participate in the cultural life and artistic life in Palestine. Please come support Amos, support our life and institutions as Palestinians, because I believe that beautiful resistance concerns everybody and not only Palestinians.
I said it many times in Soul Spaces and in the Holy Shed, and I say it again and again, that hope is about defiant imagination. It's about the beauty of the human spirit rising in the face of despair. And these are some images of it in the place where we really looked beautiful resistance full in the face. But it's not just in Palestine, Israel, it's around the world. It's here in our own situations here in Britain and elsewhere. Hope, the beauty of the human spirit rising above, rising in the face of dark and depressing circumstances. And there is so much to despair about in the world right now. We were watching the news today or yesterday or something, and I said to Pat, do you think it's the end of the world? There just seem to be so many situations that are really quite depressing at the moment. The war in Ukraine obviously is a huge backdrop to so much that's going on in our world at the moment. There's the drought which is taking place, absolutely climate related, in the Horn of Africa. There have been reports about Somalia in the news recently, and also Turkana. Turkana is a region of the northwestern part of Kenya, which I've also visited quite a long time ago, years ago now. I went there and was involved with the creation of a windmill and a well, because the Turkana is essentially a very dry region. It's a desert region. But to see what's happening there right now, where on the one hand, there is awful drought, and on the other, there are devastating floods that are completely submerging whole communities. But right here at home, there's the whole cost of living crisis that we just can't blink and we'll get away from right now, can we, one way or another? But the human spirit does rise in all of these situations. That's kind of who we are as human beings, that hope is something that we sort of can't get away from. It's something that we're addicted to. And sometimes it comes under great trial and pressure. But there's something like trying to, push an air bubble down under the water. It just keeps popping back up again. And here in Britain, I think it's great to see so many things that are going on at the moment, initiatives that are in their own way beautiful resistance. Some of them are church groups and some community groups. This is one that just a single example I came across, which is something called the Kids Network in London.
I've cried a good few nights before bed because it's like, what are we going to do? How are we going to get through this? I'm absolutely exhausted. Food is the hardest hitting thing for us because, with the gas and stuff like that, okay, you can pay bit by bit, you can make a kind of payment plan if you really need to, but food is the worst bit. I find myself being a full-time worker who works really hard that still has to attend the food bank at least twice a month. You've gone from kind of eating 3 times a day to knowing that actually you may have to go down to that 2 times, maybe once.
Well, Reese is actually a really good mentor, and if I was paid to say that, I wouldn't even ask for money. I'm not even joking.
I'd like to make it clear that no money's changed hands, has it, LJ?
I know.
No. Well, I hope it gives a little bit of respite. Also, it gives because Tisha's obviously got your sister, and it gives them some time to spend just together. I don't sort of know how much it helps, but I think just those two and a half hours where we go off and do some fun activities just gives us some breathing space.
We haven't argued once.
Yeah.
I find it impossible to argue with you, though. I'm not even joking. That's a good thing, though. That's a good thing.
Oh, that's a good thing. Okay, good.
We find so much things that aren't that much money that are good fun.
Yeah.
We don't even worry about our budget most of the time anymore.
Families are often working really, really hard to make ends meet, and it's really affecting parents and families' mental health, caregivers are really struggling with how to square this circle. 75% of the children that we work with don't have access to any other services, so it's really critical that when we speak to those children, we hear about some of the challenges in the family, we can signpost them onto other help that's not just working with the child but also that family too.
In having the mentor that my son has, it's taken a bit of pressure off. It's given like my son another outlet to be able to express himself and to be around somebody different. I don't think they realise how much they help.
Wow. Well, that's, as I say, just one example of a lot of initiatives which are taking place right now across this country and no doubt in other parts of the world too. I think that beautiful resistance is basically another way of saying humanizing. It's about humanizing our world. It's why I keep on saying stay human, because there is so much in our world that is trying to squeeze the humanity out of us. And at times like this, when it's very easy to just pull back in your own corner and look after number one, maybe that feels necessary because you just got to survive. But it's great to see people like Sarah, who we heard from in that film, and Reese, who is one of the team, who are bothering to do something. It's not because they want to make money or be famous or anything. And I think just at a local level in neighborhoods and communities, and as I say, it's great to see churches getting involved too. I said to Pat earlier, if there's ever been an opportunity for churches, my God, this is really it right now. And it is, as I say, about humanizing a situation that feels so desperately inhumane. Hope is defiant imagination in the face of despair. And despair and hope are basically flip sides of the same thing, which is imagination. They're both a form of imagination. And yeah, well, take a look at this.
It might sound strange to locate the problem here, but in some of our most despairing moods, what really goes wrong is our power of imagination. We're not merely sad, it's that we can't imagine any better life than the agonized one we currently have. And what we really mean by imagination is the power to summon up alternatives. When we're down, we can't imagine finding another job or not minding what the gossip says about us. We can't imagine finding another partner or imagine letting ourselves trust someone again. But on the other hand, with sufficient imagination, almost any problem can be worked around. If one door has closed, the imagination should in time be able to find another. There are other cities we can go to. There are completely new sorts of work we could try. There are places we can travel where no one knows who we are. There are lovers who will have a very different approach to intimacy than those we've known to date. The oceans are large and beautifully unconcerned with us. We are grown-ups, that is, people with choices. We are not the small children we once were, who had to depend on their parents for everything and were imprisoned by narrow circumstances. We would be able to build ourselves a small hut on the edge of the desert. We could change our names. If we're feeling shy and defeated, we don't ever have to go out and see anyone again. We can live by ourselves and mind our own business. We can even go mad for a while and then recover. A lot of people do. We could throw ourselves into learning a new language or take a university degree in Sanskrit by correspondence course. We can find the love we need. We only require 2 friends or even just 1 to get by. Many people might be cruel, but a few are infinitely compassionate and kind, and we can go out and find them and not let them go. We don't have to stick by the script we thought we'd be following all our lives. We might have wanted to do so, but we are profoundly flexible creatures. When we arrived on the earth, our mental wiring was loose enough that we could have developed into excellent foragers in the Kalahari Desert, or Latin scholars in a university, or accountants in the logistics industry. Our biology is elastic. We may have lost a little of that primordial flexibility and latitude. It might no longer be so easy for us to pick up new languages or physical moves. but we remain eminently equipped to acquire new tricks. Other people, interesting, noble other people, have been here before us. There have been exiled Russian princes who learnt how to become tennis teachers, émigré South Vietnamese army generals who started American kindergartens, divorcees who remarried, shamed executives who opened flourishing corner shops. In order to increase our chances of fulfillment, we need to feed and massage our imaginations. Whatever way we happen to be living, we should constantly force ourselves to picture different, more arduous, but still bearable ways to be. We could think about how we might survive without any friends, without a reputation, without health, without any love, without much money. As part of their creative writing classes, adolescents should be asked to produce narratives titled, "If I lost everything and had to start up again, I might... ... They could be asked to make a list of the 20 things that currently make life meaningful, and then have to cross them all off and find 10 more. Only a few of us will ever need to write short stories for a living. Very many of us will be called upon by fate to rewrite the stories of our lives. That is the true destiny and function of the imagination." When we're very sad, we should be provoked by the intellectual puzzle before us. How else might we get by, given how many possibilities have been closed to us? How could we fertilize the dung heap we are on? Our challenge is to learn to rebuild our futures intelligently and creatively on the ruins of our old lives.
Our online shop has a range of books.
I think we'll leave the shop out for the moment. So you might find some of the examples used there slightly bizarre, but I think you get the point. I think what it's saying is what I believe with all my heart, that hope is actually our superpower. It's that indefatigable something at the heart of our beings, which it's possible to slam the door on and just fall into a sloth of despair. But it's also possible to open that door and find that we do have this unbelievable capacity as human beings to imagine and to reimagine. As I said before, despair and hope are really flip sides of the same thing, which is imagination. Imagine a coin, and it's called imagination. On one side of it, you see hope, and on the other side, despair. I'm a really big fan of Sister Joan Chittister, a New York Benedictine nun. I actually shared some time on a panel with her at Greenbelt some years back. And she makes a similar point, that hope and despair are not opposites. They're cut from the same cloth, she says, made from the same material, shaped by the same circumstances, but shaped differently. The only difference between the two is that despair shapes an attitude of mind, hope creates a quality of soul. She goes on to say that despair colors the way we look at things, makes us suspicious of the future, makes us negative about the present. Hope, on the other hand, takes life on its own terms, knows that whatever happens, God lives in it, and expects that, whatever its twists and turns, it will ultimately yield its good to those who live well. And I kind of couple that with this, another image from the West Bank wall, another Banksy picture. There are quite a few that are a bit similar to this, where the artist has kind of metaphorically or pictorially pulled back the wall to see what's on the other side. And, you know, I think one of the beautiful things about this particular image is that this is actually on the outside of the wall. And so he's kind of saying that on the inside, amidst all the hardship and difficulty and stress and despair that people are experiencing, there's also a paradise of human imagination. And we met lots of young people connected with the center that we looked at earlier, and in other places too, who you know, had amazing dreams and hopes for their lives. And some of them went ahead and fulfilled them in incredible ways. Dear friends, If you take nothing from this evening but this, please take the thought that hope is our superpower, and that even in the darkest and most despairing moments, we have this capacity, this something within us that no one can take from us, that we can plug into, which is able to pull back the concrete walls and show us that there's something beyond our present circumstances. I've mentioned the Ukraine war, and obviously that's a place of enormous despair and darkness at the moment, and yet so much beautiful resistance is being manifest from that too. And this is a music video I want to show you of a 21-year-old Ukrainian refugee called Eliza, who's gone to Latvia, and there with friends, some from Ukraine like herself and others, local people from Latvia, sing a Ukrainian patriotic folk song as an act of beautiful resistance. When Ukraine was under Russian occupation earlier in the 20th century, this song was banned because it is a song of hope and beautiful resistance. And when Russia started the war on February the 24th, Eliza's family home was destroyed very early on by Russian occupants. And it was destroyed for the second time in their life because it happened in the earlier assaults from Russia too. Eliza's mother and brother stayed in Ukraine to defend their homeland, where she is spreading this message of beautiful resistance.
Червона калина похилилася, чогось наша славна Україна зажурилася, а ми тую червону калину піднімемо, а ми нашу славну Україну, гей, гей, розвеселимо. Ой, у лузі червона калина похилилася, чогось наша славна Україна зажурилася, а ми тую червону калину піднімемо, а ми нашу славну Україну, гей, гей, розвеселимо. Ой, у лузі червона калина похилилася, чогось наша славна Україна зажурилася, а ми тую червону калину піднімемо, а ми нашу славну Україну, гей, гей, розвеселимо.
Human spirit rising. This is a prayer. Like a darkling thrush, flinging her soul upon the growing bloom, may we surge and swell with beautiful resistance toward all that diminishes and demeans our world created for love. Grant us courage and more decadent imagination to conceive better times for ourselves and our neighbors, and hurl ourselves into the work of bringing them to pass. In times of adversity, may we radiate hope. In times of apathy, may we emanate passion. In times of dejection, may we exude resilience. May we never accept that what is all there can be. So I'd like to just take you back in thought to where we began with Mavis Staples' song, our song of so many movements of beautiful resistance, like a tree planted by the water. I will not be moved. It's from the Psalms, of course, and it's that lovely, lovely image of a tree, something of enormous strength and rootedness, well fed by water, which you can't move it. It's there. And this, I believe, is what we can experience when we plug into that superpower of hope within, our own inner capacity for beautiful resistance. And I think the beautiful resistance suggests that we will not be enemies. We will not be pushed into a place of reacting in the way in which we are treated, whatever that may be. That we will tap into a different source. And so I'm going to finish with another song by Yael Dechelban, which is another one of her songs. And I think it somehow seems to be one of her callings as a person and as a singer and musician, that she wants to draw on the feminine spirit. It's not an exclusive thing. I feel included in it too. It's a call to men as well, but it's an appeal to that feminine spirit of nurture, of bringing new things to birth, of wanting to protect young sproutings of hope and something better in our world.
There's a secret remedy hiding underneath the tree, in the seed from which we came together.
Women of the world unite.
Cast aside for centuries, bound in chains of slavery, waiting for the roots to come together.
Women of the world unite.
For the sake of humanity,
Unite.
in the name of integrity,
Unite.
to retrieve our felicity,
Unite.
and all of our diversity.
Unite.
Use your gift with wisdom,
Unite.
for the future of our children,
Unite.
to protect our planet.
Unite.
If you wish to live in peace, unite with your ancient wisdom, with your natural rhythm, with the light you have hidden. Elevate your power like a beautiful flower. Breathe the love that brings us all together.
Women of the world unite.
Now the seed begin to sprout. Women of the world we shout. Races and religions come together.
Women of the world unite.
Stand up for the tree of life. Hug the darkness with our light. We can heal our pain when we're together.
Women of the world unite.
Calling all our sisters and magnificent brothers, each and every mother and courageous daughter. In the darkest hours, liberate your powers. Give a voice to sanity. Celebrate humanity. Unite with our ancient wisdom, with our natural rhythm, with the life we have given. Elevate your power like a beautiful flower. Breathe the love that brings us all together.
Women of the world unite.
Hey ya, 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 hey ya. With the flowers, with the leaves, with the spiders, the birds and the bees, with the mountains. mountains, with the sea, with the valleys and roots of the trees, with our passion, with our wounds, with the sun and the earth and the moon, with the living, with the dead, with the stars, with the mother of our mothers who gave birth to it all, from her soul, from her body, from her blood, from the depth of the pain to infinity has a key that brings us to the garden of our ancient wisdom and our natural rhythm. With the light you have hidden, elevate your power like a beautiful flower. Breathe the love that brings us all together. With our ancient wisdom and our natural rhythm, with the love we have given, elevate your power like a beautiful flower. Breathe the love that brings us all together. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask you to switch your cameras on if you wish to now.